Hey guys, this is Echo Soundworks, and you are checking out a special first look video on ADSR, where we're going to be checking out the winner of the 2016 KVR Developers Challenge, the Youlean Loudness Meter. So it works for both PC and Mac, and the cool thing about it is it's completely free. So go download it right now. I have the page up on the screen. That's what you're looking at. There's a link in the description. Definitely go download this loudness meter. So now we're looking at it inside of Logic. So, all right, so first things first though, why do you want a loudness meter? Well, loudness meters help you visually see how loud your mix should actually be to other humans. Loudness is so much more than just peak decibel range, so that's why you can't rely only on your output of your DAW, because that's usually a decibel range. So using a loudness meter in conjunction with referencing a reference track is a great way to see how loud your mix is compared to a commercially mastered, commercially released track. And if you're within maybe 3 or 4, probably if you're in about 3 or 4 LUFS away from the commercial track when it's mastered, if you get your track mastered, it'll probably get close to that. So I use these types of meters all the time. You guys, I get a lot of questions about this specific meter right here, this multimeter, which is native to Logic Pro X. Now, a lot of DAWs do come with metering plugins, but a lot of them don't have LUFS, and a lot of them don't even have RMS. Now, LUFS and RMS are just 2 different scales for measuring perceived loudness and loudness, and there's different international standards for those different scales. So, for instance, down here on the Youlean Loudness Meter, there's these different standards. So, keeping it on the EBU R128 is typically what I'm going to be on for music production. Some other stuff is like commercial, like literally TV, tele commercials, that sort of stuff. So let's go through some of the cool features of the interface. It's really cool. You can actually resize it, which is nice. So you just click down here and resize. You can move the area of the histogram, the graph around, which is nice. You can customize certain settings. You can set the decibel range input. You can split. You can have true peak, and you can kind of change it to a relative scale, which will change the output readings. But I find having it with these settings gets closest to the different metering plugins that I'm used to using. Now over here you have the LUFS range, which is short term. Then you have the integrated, and then the loudness range. So these are just slightly different readouts of LUFS and overall loudness. Then you have a momentary max, which is the momentary max is literally the maximum loudness at any given moment. Then you have a short-term max, which is kind of taking like a snapshot. And then you have the true peak. Now, I want to talk about the true peak real quick because a lot of people will probably get confused by this or call me out on it. So, true peak, most songs peak, their true peak is well over unity, which is 0 decibels. So for instance, most people are always taught, don't ever go in the red in your DAW, and that's true. You shouldn't, but a lot of commercially released tracks, they squeeze more volume out by going over on the true peak. So for instance, I have a Chainsmokers track, Don't Let Me Down. I'm going to turn off all these plugins on my master bus, and we're going to look at the Youlean Loudness Meter, and the true peak's probably going to be, I haven't actually checked, but I'm assuming it's going to be at least 2.5. Be down. Don't let me down. All right, as you can see and as you can hear, it's quite loud. Its true peak is about 3.4, positive 3.4. We're talking positive values, not negative values because of true peak. It's going above unity. So my mix is probably going to be over 0 decibels, and I knew some of you guys would probably see that and try to call me out on it, but it's not that big of a deal. You don't want your mix to be that hot for sure, but if your mix is true peaking around positive 1, maybe just a shade under 1, getting it to a mastering engineer, then they're usually going to be able to squeeze a little bit more life out of it in terms of loudness. And I like to mix hot, and I usually turn things down before I get anything mastered. So that being said, let's check out this little demo here, and let's open up the Youlean Loudness Meter as we listen. All right, so my loudness was at my short term was negative 8.9 around there. True peak was 2.1. Probably would turn that down at some point before I go to get it mastered if I ever finish this, but this is just for the demo, for the video. But yeah, let's compare this readout to some of the other really popular kind of industry standard metering options. So let's compare it to the Logic multimeter, which I use all the time, which has, you can see right here, has a really small LUFS meter, not a really big one, but let's check it out and listen. All right, so true peak and LUFS were pretty darn similar. All right, so let's compare it now to the another really common metering plugin. It's made by Isotope. It's called Insight, and I believe this one costs $99 for the essential version. All right, so again, those are pretty close. The big difference, I guess, was with the True Peak, a little bit higher on the Insight. So now we're going to shoot out with the Waves Loudness Meter. So this one it takes kind of like a short-term snapshot. It takes a little bit longer to register than some of the other ones, but let's check it out and see how it stacks up with Youlean Loudness Meter. So just like I thought, it's LUFS for the short term and long term are very similar. It just takes the Waves Loudness Meter a little bit longer to get there. Now, what's crazy to me is that there's these different, I haven't even touched on these, there's different channels you can separate: mono, stereo, 5.1 film, that sort of stuff. But there's also, you have these different options down here on the Waves Loudness Meter where you can change the method or kind of the calibration. And you have that on the Youlean. I've never seen that in a free one. So I don't want to spend too much time talking about it, guys, but it is a really cool plugin and is free. Definitely check it out. I don't know why you would not want to have something like this in your arsenal. If you guys have any questions or comments, let me know below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Like I said at the beginning of the video, I am Echo Sours. Thank you so much for watching, guys.